a child is a beautiful thing, bringing families together, in fact, solidifying an already existing union. But sometimes those unions fade. And then what happens to the children? Today we talk family and parenting amidst a separation or pending divorce, or ultimately families that never got to enjoy a formal union. Joining me is our guest, Ubaba Mieni, and we also have Ubaba Uhadebe. It is a bit of an uncomfortable thing to even consider that there could be a break in what once was promised to be forever. But siyakubona kuyenzeka. And that affects abantwana as well. I think my question to you as we begin this discussion would be, do we ever consider that there'd be a change in parenting dynamics initially when we begin a parenting journey with either spouses or our parent partners?
Okay, thanks very much. I'm grateful to be invited and to be part of this important subject, which has got a lot of, it has manifested itself in the society in a painful way.
Yeah.
Because we have a tendency of not addressing what needs to be addressed. And the problem is that if ever we don't talk about things, it doesn't mean that they are not going to manifest. So I'm happy about this subject. Number one, we have to look at the whole issue of the family. You know, family is supposed to be the safest space, you know, and healthiest space. And it is unfortunately that it is not like that. God intended it for it to be like that. But there's also one part, if ever I can just make a biblical example, which is very interesting, is that when God was talking to Adam and Eve about everything else, he spoke before. He spoke a blessing. Everything was a blessing. The creation was a blessing. Their union was a blessing. But the issue of children have realized that it came in after a curse.
Sure.
So that already tells you that the whole parenting issue, you're going to have to, there are different dynamics around it. So everyone that intends to be a parent don't want to be a useless parent. We all dream of being the best parents, but things happened on the way.
Let's get deeper into that, Babu Mieni, and look at parenting. It's not done in isolation. We spoke about a union that is solidified between families, essentially. And so how is that affected when now there's a pending separation or a separation that has happened already?
Yes. Thanks again, Nomfundo, and it's really, you know, a blessing to be part of this show and this discussion. Of course, let me start by saying parenting is not an easy thing. It's not easy for a married couple, happily married. It is, you know, a very difficult task. Much more than when there is, you know, an estranged relationship. As we are saying, there's a pending divorce, there's a fight that is happening between the parents, then it becomes even more difficult, you know, because the two people who are estranged, they actually now can even mess up their parenting as they use the children to fight amongst each other.
Yes.
So it's very important to say, you see, when people get into their difficult times, they should never forget that their core responsibility must never change. No matter what changes in the relationship, the affection can change, the romance can change, you know, priorities or feelings can change. And of course, as we grow, you know, we go through a lot of changes. But we still have got the responsibility to remain a parent and nothing else but a parent to the child that we are raising. And that's what we should always remember.
I like that, including that the well-being of the child is utmost priority. But there are instances, you know, Babadebe, where the courts are involved. And how does that affect a parent's affection, not only towards the child, but on the responsibility of parenting?
please don't beat me on this one, because I'll talk about it as a person who has experienced that, you know. So sometimes I'll come across as anglaledi, you know. But I take interest in what you've just said before this, and Ubabumi, you know, what he said. You know, there is this selfishness as human beings that we have, and it tends to spill to our children. You know, children are a blessing, but they end up being a tool that we use.
Sure.
You know, to fight to fight our battles.
Even to control each other.
Yeah.
And to control each other. You know, it becomes the thing that you know that it is going to hurt your partner. And you're not thinking that it hurts the child more than it hurts the partner. You know, you're settling your scores. I have done that. You know, when I got into separation with my partner, and I wanted to use the child as my tool. You know, I want her to feel. You know, no.
Sure.
Also, on the other hand, when she's got a chance to do that, you know, because we allow our feelings to intoxicate us to a point where we forget that this is not only just about us, but there's also these children that are involved.
Yeah.
People can separate without the law being involved. But the reason that the law ends up getting involved, it is because of the selfishness. It's not necessarily because of the issues and what, but it is the selfishness in us as parents.
Yeah.
Because you are only thinking about ourselves. But if ever we were considerate, you even question, I had to question myself, how much do I love this child that I will let this child go through this because of my emotions and because of my feelings?
Yeah, you see, and also one of the very unfortunate things is when, you know, one of the parents expects that, you know, a child will have to choose
Sure.
which parent. You know, a child is actually
They
put on
favor,
spot,
yeah.
you know, and children have to now feel guilty that maybe you called your father. Why did you call your father? What was he saying to you and stuff like that? Now, you find the child cannot even have private conversation, like honest, like if he's a boy, he must have, you know, honest conversations about manhood stuff, you know, with his father. And you find that there is that barrier that is being created now to say, you cannot talk to my father, you know, without my permission and stuff.
Can I come
Yeah.
in there?
Please do.
Nomfundo. You know, one of the things that we don't notice is that some children are natural manipulators.
Okay.
All right. All right.
And I always say that when there is division, there are private beneficiaries. Every time there's division, there are private beneficiaries. Just for 2 hours, you and your husband not talking, just 2 hours, kids will exploit that opportunity. Because they are going to ask for things that they know that normally they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have been granted if ever you had a good.
There's a fluidity of rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that separation, children tend to exploit also that because they know that they can do things that they can be out of hand, you know, because they know they can make you compete, you know, they can ask for this side and ask for that side, you know, they can say that no, I'm sleeping over at mom's place, I'm sleeping over at dad's place, because they know that there is no healthy communication between the two of you. Then you have a whole lot of things going wrong, and you're asking yourself, how come because I'm a disciplinarian? No, this communication is very important. So it's important that we have to look beyond us because it is also not only unhealthy, but it is dangerous. Even for the children and even our relationship, you know.
There's an aspect in South African family dynamics, you know, extended family living and treating one another as immediate family. And so when these separations happen, it also affects that dynamic. My question would be, especially for families that have routine of extended family, maintaining interaction with children, how is parenting style? I think you touched it briefly now. How is it affected? And most importantly, those relationships with extended family affected?
Yeah, let me just take it to the African context to say that when two people decide to be a couple, and uyahamba lo ayekhaya ayoba umkhwenyana.
Yes.
Immediately when he becomes umkhwenyana, he is a son-in-law, but he is a son like I, and bayamthanda abantu, and they actually like join their hearts to him as well. Same thing happens. My wife is not just my wife, but she's a daughter to my parents. And sometimes even when we've got, misunderstandings, I get a call from my mother saying, hey, undotakazi wam loyo. No, that's my daughter. You can't do that to her. So the extended family does, to some extent, also get affected. It does not just become a divorce of the two of you.
Yeah.
It doesn't become just a separation of the two of you. But, everybody else now, because you now also have to work on disconnecting your partner from your family.
Yeah.
And there are families...
Should there be a disconnection? I'm thinking, because omalumekazi siyazi in our context, basikhulisile izingane. And if we decide to separate, do we then take umalumekazi away from ingane? Do they stop having that parental figure available to them?
It's not supposed to be like that, but unfortunately, like I said, the children have stopped being a blessing, they've become a tool. So if ever I am looking at now my partner as the enemy, I'm not going to be friendly with my enemy. I will use whatever it takes to hurt my family, so to hurt that partner. So if ever I have to take them away from Omalumegazi, no Malume, as long as selfishly it is serving this, I am going to do that. But because we are not talking openly about these things this way, some of us, we do them thinking they are right until there are platforms like this that exposes, because sometimes you sit down and say, no, man, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Let me just put another one, is that, the way in our society children are so neglected, even this whole separation thing, they are never made aware.
And they are not even prepared.
Come again?
They're not even prepared. You find that you've been arguing with your spouse and you have been seeing this end, coming, and you make a decision. And you find that your children were never really prepared. Sometimes they are told a week before a father moves away, or they see the father is no longer coming back home, and they now start to ask questions, why is dad not coming back home? And that, we've got something to talk about. Your dad is not coming back anymore because of this. And it is such a traumatic experience to a child to be in that situation.
Please do expand on those consequences. I'm going to allow you to continue, but because you touched on such an important aspect of it, that the people it most affects seem to be, set aside during the process to just prepare them for what's to come.
Yes, because, there is a lot that's going to change for the child right now. Because having your mom and dad, under one roof, it is such, it is such a blessing and an environment that is conducive for the child. And now the fact that you are separating, and the child is going to be put in that position that says, who do I, move with? Because there's got to be a decision to say that, am I moving out with my dad or am I staying with my mom and stuff like that? So there are certain decisions that now a child has got to step up and actually be able to work on.
You were saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yeah, I was saying that I think it needs to be. Children must be. Anything that you are not prepared for, that means you are not capacitated to handle.
Okay. It blindsides you.
It blindsides you. So it is important that we must let the children, not everything, but let's create awareness about the changes. Let me show you another one. Probably will be a talk for another time. But when I got married, my child, she's the one who's, because I've been a single father for some time, and my daughter was the one who's like a mother. She controls everything, the kitchen and everything. When I'm excited about getting married, I forget to capacitate her and to involve her fully. Now she moves from being a firstborn to being a thirdborn in the new setup where we are in. All the rights she used to have, she becomes a different child and all that, because every time we feel in a certain way, it is about us. We never include children. And I always say that as a person, I am a private a private car driver. Once I become a parent, I am a truck driver.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I take decisions now, I cannot just, when I'm driving a private car, which I used to do, but when you're driving a truck,
Yeah.
every decision you must think, okay, the head will turn, will the car go turn here?
Sure,
So
okay.
every parent, you must remember that you are not just a private car driver, you are a truck
Yeah.
driver.
And Nomfundo, there's something that we also spoke about in terms of preparing children.
Yes.
It's funny how most couples just think about the law.
Yeah.
Think about maintenance. What am I going to get out of this? Whereas in preparation, you need to consider children and say, am I taking my children for counseling?
Emotional,
And not just think law. Think about, professional counseling, for even for yourself to say, now I am moving into a parenting space where my partner is going to be far away, or it's going to be in another relationship. You need counseling.
Yeah.
You need preparation. And sometimes we downplay the role of professional counseling when it comes to that. And it can play a huge role, and also mentorship as well, to say there are people that can assist you to still maintain good partnership, good parenting, even after.
I do want to get into that, perhaps as a word of caution as we close up our discussion to parents that are experiencing this. Which is one thing to talk about it. I don't think coming into a parental sort of setup, there is ever anticipation that things will go wrong. But when they do, what should be every parent's first thought regarding their parenting, regarding their children?
Okay, number one, just remember you're a parent. It's not just only about you, but there's also this life that is here, that you want to see her grow. Find help about what you are going through, the help that is going to help you inject life on this child. It's not about you. I had to reach that point where I had to say, it is not about me.
Yeah.
Mpumi needs her mother. Junior needs her mother. And once you let that go, things begin to flow different. And never talk the negatives and the wrongs about the other partner, because a person can be a bad boyfriend or a bad wife, but they can be a good parent. So if you paint a wrong picture, then you are creating wrong expectations. So if I was wrong to you, maybe I might be the best father to my child.
Sure.
Those are two different relationships.
For extended family, because we see them playing some form of parenting. As secondary parents to children, what do we do in support during such a traumatic period?
There is a very huge role that should be played and that can be played by the extended family. Most of us go and all of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And because there's just a story in the Bible where David was fighting some battles, and he actually took his children and he took them to his parents, and he said, I'm not done with my battles. Can you please keep my children until I'm finished fighting? Because you need to understand as a parent that because so, and find that now we uyazibulala instead of ukufa nazo, so you need to understand that you are a good parent, or you were a good parent while you were still a loving parent.
Yes.
Wow,
But now
yeah.
you are a hurting parent.
Yes.
You are a parent in battle. And when you get into the flight, they tell you, mask first on you. So extended family assist you to actually get that time out of parenting, while abantu abadala, they handle the children, and not just rush into the law, but just allow abantu abadala to take care of the children, and then you put the mask on you, and later on when you are sober, when the hurt has died down, then you can make proper decisions and get back into proper parenting.
Just a second.
Yeah.
I know our time is up. I just want to say this to every parent this time. It's very important to capacitate yourself in terms of parenting. Number one, remember you are not God to the child. Number two, remember times are changing. If times are changing, you cannot parent a child the way you were parented.
Sure.
Sure. And with those words, so we wrap up our conversation, but we encourage you to continue on our comment section. Igama lami uNomfundo, the Dazzling Xaba. Thank you so much for joining us. Do subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Until next time.